thank you all for joining. Thank you for your patience. So we had a little bit of a technical difficulty just earlier, but we're good to go now. We've got Brenda Liu here from Singapore. It's a great pleasure to have her talking with us this evening because she's a bit of an international superstar. She's traveling a lot. She's well, a very iconic salsa. Well, not traveling at the moment, sure. There's like lockdown period, but when the pandemic's not on, she's traveling a lot. She's highly sought after as an artist, and she's got a great skill set. She's very inspiring. So we're very fortunate to have her talking with us this evening. So massive thank you to Brenda for making time for everyone. If anyone has a question, you're welcome to put your question in the comment section, and as long as it's appropriate, and we'll work our way through some of the questions. But I'll start with the first one, if that's okay. How has COVID been for you, like in Singapore? Tell us about
I'm an introvert, so it's great.
it.
So it's been a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because I don't really travel too much these days. I'm trying to cut down on it. I love to focus on my work in Singapore because I feel like I need a bit of both, you know. Like if I were to really, really choose one, I would prefer to rather stay in Singapore every week than travel every week. So this year I've cut down a lot on traveling just because I feel like it's healthier for me. It's what I prefer, the lifestyle that I
Hmm.
want to have, not to travel every weekend or even more than twice a month, you know? But at the same time, I don't want to stop sharing what I know. I don't want to stop
Hmm.
educating, dancers about what I know in general. So this COVID-19 situation, although it's not so nice to say it, but it has turned out really good for me, um, because the online classes are helping me to reach people. And for people who have been wanting to take my class, they finally get to reach me. So I would say that it's been great. The classes are going well. It's not a constant hype. I think that people do get sick of looking at Zoom when they're working from Zoom all the time, you know. But
Yep.
in general, it's been pretty good. I mean, I still get to feed myself. Still, um, I get to work on myself. I don't stop improving because you need to work and teach on Zoom. So you need to actually develop a better sense of teaching now that more than ever you will need it because you're teaching on Zoom.
Hmm.
You need to explain everything, all the detail and technique to the best of your ability so that the students get a closer to real life class situation going on. So yeah, it's been great.
So it's
Um,
been good. So are you concentrating more on things for yourself now that you have more time?
I think the online classes have been something I wanted to do for a long time, but I just never got the time to do it, and the COVID thing kind of just threw me into it. Like, it's
Yeah.
time to do it. In terms of doing stuff for myself, yeah, I would say so because I am spending a lot of time developing better syllabus, better structure, also for my students, but I would say that it's because I love teaching, I love
Mm.
dancing, I love creating content, good content that speaks to people, you know? So because I love doing this, in return, my students get it. So I would say it's kind of for myself.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess.
And do you miss social dancing, or are you doing a little bit of that?
I miss people in general. Like I miss my friends. Social dancing for sure. For sure I miss
Mm.
it. The connection, you get to talk to people, you get to dance with people. I miss it. I'm an introvert, but yes, I miss it a lot. And
So
we
in
don't got a choice.
Singapore, yeah, in Singapore at the moment, how serious is the lockdown? Are you allowed out of your homes to go shopping and things like that? Or
So it's not super serious anymore. They have kind of
Mhm.
lifted a little bit more rules and regulations. Now I can finally visit my family because I'm not living with them at the moment.
Yeah.
So I can finally go to see them, but apparently there's some rule like only two people can see any other household.
Yep.
And you can only visit your grandparents or your children, things like that. And you cannot really go out and wander around for no reason. Just
Hmm.
exercising is fine. Buying groceries are fine.
Yep.
No gathering. So it's not super, super strict. You still get to go out, but of course you need to play your part and not gathering with your friends
Yep.
because there is still some community cases going on.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's okay. How about your side?
Okay. In Australia, it's gotten a lot better. I think in my state in Queensland, we didn't have many confirmed cases, and uh, a lot of the population live on the coast, so a lot of people could go to the beach and go like hiking in the mountains and do a lot of. So I spent a lot of time at the beach. I was surfing every day, so for me personally, it was fine. I'm maybe in the same boat as you. I still taught my online classes, and I could still surf instead of like social dancing. So I had an outlet that I could, still make use of. So I was very fortunate. A lot of people had it far worse than I did, but Australia, on the whole, has been pretty good. I think we're fortunate that we're an island, and not many people could come here from other countries. Like I think that's why Europe and like America have had so much trouble because they share borders with other countries. So like it wasn't that bad in Singapore as far as like a death toll though, right?
No, no, no. We have very low numbers in terms
Yeah.
of death tolls. It's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah. The same in Australia.
24,
So
26.
how
I
many?
think 26 people.
Okay, so not
26
many at all.
out of like 30, more than 30,000 cases. So
Okay, really good. Good outcome for Singapore.
good to
So
hear.
sorry.
Good to hear about your side.
What did we hear?
Good to hear.
Yes, very good to hear. Really good to hear. I think
Yeah.
Australia's had just over 100 confirmed deaths.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
compared to the rest of the world with like very low numbers, which has been great. How are you keeping inspired during lockdown? Because if you're inside so much more, like I know you're an introvert, but are you like dancing in your living room or are you doing any online classes yourself, like to learn?
Um, wow, good question. How am I keeping inspired? I am very much inspired by songs.
Okay.
So as long as I keep a lookout for songs, oh, thank you, Salam. As long as I keep a lookout for songs and I keep watching videos and find songs that I like, yeah, it inspires me pretty easily because I love dancing in general. And because now that I have to teach online, you have to create
Hmm.
content that will inspire your students. So,
Hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like a cycle, right? You kind of have to teach to eat, and you love to do
Hmm.
what you do. So it's not difficult for me to get inspired. I just need to watch videos, listen to music. I find one that I like. I make a content, I make a video, I post it. People come to take my
Hmm.
classes or whatever because they like it. So it's kind of like feeding off each other. So it's not so
Hmm.
difficult. I dance in a tiny living area on my own classes, and I'm really
Yeah.
trying to create different kind of classes for my students because there's just too many of Shine's classes going on, and everyone's
Mm.
teaching shines, shines, shines. So I'm trying to make a point to teach more like in-depth technique classes or like footwork, cleaning up your footwork class, a spinning class, pure arm styling technique classes, things like that, so that I have more to give and more in depth. Now that everyone is kind of at home, they have time
Hmm.
to go through all this stuff. It's better than giving them just, more movements to
Yeah,
practice because you can find it on YouTube, on
of
Facebook.
course.
You
So you're
don't need more
concentrating more on
instruction.
concepts instead of content.
Yeah, techniques more than movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many classes are you teaching per week?
This week is my first week off. I really needed it because I was teaching for how many weeks, Bruno? 8? 10? I think it's like been okay. It's been almost 8 weeks that I've been teaching at least 3 classes a week
Yep.
and on my own platform. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of got to a point where I'm a little bit like, okay, now I'm starting to feel a little bit tired. I'm starting to feel a little bit like I'm losing some motivation. I'm losing a little bit of inspiration. So it's time to like stop for a week.
Recharge.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
want to burn out. You know,
Yeah, of
I
course.
know I've been there before. Yeah, Mickey
Mm-hmm.
just say. Mickey is one of my loyal
One of your
listeners.
students?
So she knows how many weeks? She replied 8.
She
Yeah.
knows.
So yeah. So this week they lifted like the rules that you can go to see your parents and stuff. So it was perfect for me. I'm like, I'm a little bit needing some space, you know, like every
Mm-hmm.
day I'm like at least 5 to 8 hours looking at my phone.
Yeah.
You know, like it kind of just gets to you, you know, you're like, I'm done with this, you know, like it gets to a point where replying people feels like a chore because I've
Yeah.
constantly 10 to 20 messages on Facebook, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, you know. So I kind of needed that shutdown period. And now I'm still kind of like, it's kind of ending because tomorrow is
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, but I'm getting there. I'm coming back.
Do you know when you'll be able to resume classes in the studio?
No, I don't
Not
know
sure
when.
yet.
Not sure at all because they just lifted. So they have this like, I think UK is doing something like phase one, phase two, phase three. Do you know?
Yeah.
So in Singapore, we have something similar. So they're telling you what to expect, right? In phase one, some offices can start again, and then you can start seeing your parents or your children, but nothing more,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then in
Okay.
phase two, you know, more things can happen, and in phase three, so and so, right?
Right.
So right now they're saying that phase two will only start when phase one is very constant and stable, and the numbers are almost zero every day. And we
Okay.
suddenly went from a single digit for a week to like a double digit again in terms of
Yep.
community cases. It's still very little, but I think Singapore's trying to play safe, which I think we should
Yep.
because we're very tight, you know. It's
Mm.
everyone's very close to each other all the time. So we cannot
Mm-hmm.
afford to, you know, have any more second wave. Otherwise it's gonna drag to the end of the year.
Yeah, of course.
So
And
we
then
don't
that'll put a stop to all the traveling and all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Because
I need to go
Singapore's quite a
somewhere.
big hub. Singapore's quite a big hub for international transit because I know a lot of flight paths to Europe happen through Singapore. And like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, Singapore is the gateway into Asia. There are a lot of flight paths that go from Singapore back into Asia. So I think Singapore, like I think it's yeah, exactly like you said, playing it safe so that they can resume to sort of business as usual once the cases become low enough.
Yeah.
But hopefully soon, hey, like it seems like yeah, Australia's reducing the regulations and isolations becoming less and less and less. So yeah, hopefully it's soon for you guys as well, and you guys can start teaching in studios again, which would be great.
Yes, it will. It will.
One of the teachers that one of the school owners that I teach for really wants to bring you to Australia. So I think he's hoping for it. Have you been to Australia before?
Yes, I have. The first time I competed in like the solo competition.
Oh, in Brisbane.
Yeah, in Brisbane. Wow, that
Cool.
was like 10 years ago? No,
Really,
no, no,
that
no.
long ago?
No, 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 no. 7? 6?
I'm
You
not
know
sure.
what? I'm gonna tell you a fun fact about me. I do not have a timeline in my memory. So
Yeah.
meaning, if you ask me what happened in what year of my life, I'm unable to tell you. I do not know why. I've tried to to make it happen, like try to remember, but I cannot tell you what year, what age. If you ask me
Hmm.
what age am I on which year, I cannot give you an answer. I have to literally count. I don't know why. So if you ask me
But
what when was this,
some people you can say, oh, where were you in Mexico? And they say June 2011, and you're like, how do you
yeah,
remember that?
I cannot. I cannot. It's like so weird.
So you
I
came to
think because of
Australia to
when there's
compete.
no, yeah, yeah.
Okay, how did you go?
Sorry.
How did you go in the competition?
So I competed in two categories. One like group. The group was only two of us. For that one,
A
I
duet.
won. I came in second. Yeah, a duet. Yeah. And then for the solo, I came in first.
Nice,
So,
good one.
woo.
I'm really
But you know
curious
what?
to know what year you were there because I was competing for a fair bit at the same competition, but maybe up until 3 years ago, and then I was traveling every year after that, so I didn't go for the last 3 years.
No, I think mine is more than 3 years back. I think it's at least 5, 6 years back.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have to check. So yeah, so this will be if James brings you over to Brisbane to do some workshops for like a long weekend or something. This will be a second time to Australia.
No, no, no. I've been there a couple more times already. Um,
Okay, I'm not
I've
going to
been
ask you what year.
No, I've been to Sydney like 2 or 3 times. I don't even remember how many times, but I know at least two or
Okay.
three times. One for like a weekender,
Yep.
one for one of the Sydney Latin festivals I've been,
Yep. That was a really big event.
and yeah, maybe just 2 times.
Mm. How long have you
So
been dancing for? Like dancing salsa?
salsa. Okay, wait. I've been dancing salsa since I was like 12. So 14 years in.
14 years of salsa. Were you doing another dance style before that?
Yes, I did.
Well,
So I started dancing in school,
uh-huh.
in primary school. I don't know what you call that in other countries. That was like at the age of 12. What do you call it in other countries?
School, like I don't know. Like we have subjects in Australia, and then we just do dance for like one semester, but that's it. Like not much at all.
I mean, like it's not high school. Is it high school?
High school is after year six for us. So you have like secondary school, you might call it, or
Ah, okay,
senior
yes. So
school.
mine before secondary school. So probably before high
Okay.
school. I don't know. So I started dancing at the age of 7.5. No, 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 no. 8.5. 8. Around 8.
Yep.
I started
Okay.
dancing around 8, and I started dancing with it's like an extra activity in my primary school, and that was
Yep.
Chinese dance. Chinese
Oh,
traditional
really?
Chinese
Like
dance.
traditional
And we
Chinese
had a
dance?
Yeah, we had a
Wow.
because Singapore is a multiracial country, right? So we have like clubs and groups in from a young age in school of different races to celebrate the fact that we are a country of different races. So we had like
Hmm.
Chinese dance, we had Indian dance, we had Malay dance, and sometimes you even see like Chinese dancers doing Indian dance. And that was me. So I was doing Chinese dance, and then after I also did Indian dance for at least 3 years of my primary school. I did both.
Uh-huh.
Then I continued with Indian semi-classical Indian dance into my secondary school life. I was doing Indian dance for at least like 4 to 5 years. And then I decided that I wanted to go a little bit more commercial. I did
Yep.
hip hop. And in the same school, they had some salsa and bachata. And I was like exiting my hip hop
Wow.
class one day. I was like walking out and I was like, what is this? People doing bachata and they look so sexy. And then there was a salsa song. I'm like, why are there different kind of music You guys look great and still, knowing how to dance to different songs without talking to each other. I don't
Hmm.
know if you guys have been in the same class, but you guys are just dancing, right? So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sit and watch for like a while. And I
Yeah.
was sitting there and I was like, oh, like I wish I could dance like her, like her, like her. And then the next day I was in another salsa class or bachata class or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of like my little dance history.
So Singapore, like 10 years ago, had salsa classes and bachata classes on, but it was part of the same school that taught other styles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had like couple of schools like this that existed, but there are now definitely more focused schools on salsa and bachata only.
Okay. What do you
Yeah.
teach at your school now? Like, if it's not COVID period, what's your normal timetable look like?
It's very erratic, very. Some weeks it can be just 2 to 3 times. Some weeks it can be almost every day.
Okay.
You go based by projects, by performances. Like there can be different projects, like you want to do a video shoot with your team, or you guys are training for a new show. If it's
Yeah.
closer, there's more practices. If there's different congresses of different performance items, then of course more. So it's
Hmm.
it's very different. And then there are my classes going on as well. Sometimes, not for my teams, for public classes. Sometimes
Yeah.
there are more, sometimes there are less. It really goes by demand, by quarters of the year. Sometimes I do a project of like 20 to 30 girls. Then I give them
Yeah.
like a break, and then, I try to pull them back in again after 1 month of, letting them rest and letting them miss classes. I start a new
Hmm.
project, whatever keeps me going.
Hmm. So you've
Yeah.
been teaching for a really long time now, and you've been teaching like all around the world. If for dancers who want to improve their dancing, what top three tips would you give them to improve?
I love this question. Now we're talking. So, top 3 tips. I would say, you know what? Today I just posted Instagram post on my timeline, and the title of
Hmm.
the post is How to Train Productively by Yourself. I think the first one that I want, okay, basically I'm trying to tell our viewers right now that they can go and check it out. Um, One of the top ones would be stop looking for more content and start looking for more techniques.
Hmm.
I feel like there's not enough education in our entire scene about the difference between learning new moves and learning more techniques for just a few moves.
Hmm.
Like people are seeking the trend, people are seeking for more movements, for what is the new song that is hot right now that I should dance to. But it's not the way to go if you want to improve. If you want to improve, you should be seeking for more techniques. People are not practicing
Hmm.
techniques. Instructors are not sharing enough techniques on social media. It's always about dancing, new routines, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I do this for a living. We have to make posts like this. But I feel like as educators in the dance scene, especially as people who are leading and influencing the dance scene, it's super important to teach this kind of stuff. Like,
Mm.
you know, because there's not a standard in salsa where you have to go through exams to be an instructor. Anybody can be an
Hmm.
instructor these days, you know?
Yep.
And
True.
I don't blame the students, I blame the instructors. You're not
Hmm.
tell your students how to learn. That's why I have so many technique classes, because I feel that number one, I need to educate the students about techniques, not about more movements. If you want movements, go to YouTube. Why do you come to me, right? Or you can just read my stuff off my Instagram. Everybody's doing that. I just had a
Hmm.
rant yesterday. Oh my God, I could go on this conversation for like entire day. Okay, we'll leave the rant for later. So
So
number
this is
one,
one good
search for
point.
more techniques. Sorry?
So this is a good point. The first point is very good.
Thank you. Number two, identify your bad habits. So,
Okay.
as a coach, I feel like a lot of time where I call out names in my classes, like, hey, this girl, you're doing that. Now Sarah, you're doing this. Alex, you're doing that. A lot of times I'm calling out almost the same thing to the same girl every week, you know, because
Yep.
those are the most fundamental stuff that they shouldn't be getting wrong. And the reason why I'm calling you out because it's a bad habit. If you're doing this every week, it's a habit that you're not able to break. So
Mm.
throughout my years of coaching, because I mature as an instructor as well, in my first few years, it was more like, okay, here's the move I'm teaching, you're not doing it right. But then as you mature as a coach, it becomes more like the reason why you're not doing this right because you have this habit where you're
Mm.
unable to break. That's why that move becomes an obstacle, right? So a
Hmm.
lot of people are not, again, the educators of the scene are not sharing this stuff enough. As a student, you need to find an instructor who can tell you what your bad habit is. It can be as simple as you're taking steps that are way too big all the time. When you do that, your body movement
Hmm.
is compromised, your weight shift is slower, you're not on the balls of your feet all the time. So, number two, find your bad habits. Number three, how to improve. Change your way of learning. So this is what I talked about a little bit more in my poster today. I feel like a lot of students, they don't even have a structure of learning in general. They don't know how to learn. They just kind of go like, I'm just going to go for more classes and that's going to help me learn. But that's not the way. You need to start setting dance goals, for example, your dance goals, I just posted one like last week. People are setting 20 challenges as a dance goals. My dance
Yep.
goals is to complete 20 dance challenges. If your goal is to improve, 20 dance challenges is not going to help you improve. It's going to probably improve you a little bit more, but you should be setting goals like cleaning up your basic arms, nailing a double spin, you
Yep.
know, having very clean footwork. So change your way of learning. Don't just go like follow whatever instructor who's teaching new classes to new songs. That's not the way to improve. You want to improve, you try different way. Find a new coach if you feel stagnant. Don't stick to the same
Hmm.
coach. Don't be sticking to the same instructor if you're paying him for 2 years, her or him for 2 years, and you find yourself not improving. Find a new coach. Um, Change the kind of classes you're taking. Instead of taking shines, take a spin technique class, um, take an arm styling class, or set dance goals. And then find a new instructor who's able to give you private classes,
Mm.
you know? So change your way of learning. Don't get stuck in a habit. Don't get stuck in the trend. You have to find better ways to learn, better ways to get better information. Social media is such a powerful tool to help you to find
Hmm.
what you want to find. Not social media, Google, for example, you know? So
Hmm.
yeah, thank you. I really
That
enjoyed
was
replying this question.
I really enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it. I should be doing more of these things. So for people that want to follow through with these things, you're quite passionate about teaching. Like I've been in some of your classes before, and I know the two of us have assisted for Super Mario before at different events. How would you, so for people that are like isolated, like that might not have exposure to artists that are taking things as seriously as you are and are as passionate about teaching as you are, how can these people source more information?
What kind of information?
More information about dance if you don't live in a country that has high level teachers.
I think in this day and age is the easiest way because of technology to find what you want to find. Um, I think that people that are isolated, they don't really know. They're like laymen, right? They don't really
Mm.
know who's in the scene already. So honestly, just start with some beginners class. You find everything is online right now. You know, that's the thing. So people that are isolated, if you guys are beginners, just take any classes and then start from there because you do need to
Hmm.
learn your basics, right? Anybody can give you a basics, and you're not gonna hit jackpot. You know, like you're not gonna instantly find the best instructor in the world. So start from there, understand who are the instructors in the world, you know, be willing to do research. That is the thing, you
Yep.
know. Um, everybody's using hashtag these days, right? So find the hashtags and find an instructor who's not just sharing dance videos, right? Find instructors who's sharing more than dance videos,
Hmm.
who's sharing techniques, who's talking about teaching, who's talking about how you should learn, you know, like these are the instructors that you should always look for, you know, or
Hmm.
maybe like the instructors has a lot of reviews. I mean, like, yeah, sometimes you cannot trust them. I've learned that recently. You can buy reviews. But I still believe that in the salsa and bachata scene, it's not that bad. Instructors are not buying reviews. I hope not. So
I've
ask
never heard of it.
around. You know. Really?
No, I've
You
never
heard a
heard of
lot of
it. No, I
no?
haven't. I haven't heard of that.
No. People are, I mean, not salsa and bachata dancers, but people can buy reviews.
Okay.
So I've been doing some research, you know, like how people become an influencer and stuff. You know, it's very interesting to watch how like people are trying to buy followers, and you know, it's a
Mm.
scam because if you're a brand and you want to pay influencers to share your brand, and like half of your followers are bought, then it doesn't make sense. But anyways,
Yeah,
yeah, if you're isolated, everything is super easy to find these days. Use the
that's
hashtag.
very true. There's
Yeah.
I want to ask you you mentioned earlier that you're competing and you're also performing a lot, and I know your girls you have a lot of girls teams that are performing as well, but you're also like a massively passionate social dancer. So how do you find a balance between the competing and performing side as opposed to like the social dancing and just like the joy of actually dancing with someone?
Okay, so first I need to clarify. I used to compete very
Hmm.
little. I don't like competing. I don't like it. There are a few reasons why. I feel that it takes away the art that I believe in. Competitions takes away the art that I believe in. Lately, I feel like, yes, there are some, don't get me wrong, there are people who are true dancers in the form that I believe in out there that I truly respect, but it's very dominated by people who are able to fly in the air, who are able to lift their legs here, who are able to jump and land on the floor, you know.
Mm.
Um, you could think that I'm a lazy dancer, but I believe in musicality, um, different styles of dancing, not just, you know, you know what I mean, right? Competition style. It's not for me. I like I said at the start of this conversation, music inspires me. And if you look at my Instagram, you look at my history of dances, all my songs are so different because you know every new song that I listen to can inspire me with moves in my head that is a complete different genre, you know?
Hmm.
So number one, I don't really compete, okay? People have asked me and I have entertained it, but it's not a passion to compete. My passion is teaching. So
Hmm.
how I juggle is difficult to juggle everything else. People, okay, you know what? I feel like I'm starting to rant. Come back. I need to come back. My rant was that people don't really see the art, the human behind the artist. I was just talking about this with another interviewer, another that few weeks ago. We do need to juggle a lot. If you're listening and you don't know, I'm gonna tell you what we need to juggle. We need to juggle our family. We need to juggle our friends. If we have a partner, we need to spend some time with them. We need to juggle classes, preparing for classes, running a dance school is not just going to the studio and spending 5 hours there. No, you gotta sit in front of the computer for the entire day. You gotta manage your payment. You gotta manage the accounting. You gotta manage content creation. You gotta manage 50 girls, them texting you for any reason. Maybe they're having a bad day and you gotta reply them. You gotta manage other girls who are in your projects. You gotta check for rentals. You gotta find studios. The list go on and on. And then you're traveling.
Hmm.
You're tired from social dancing. You have to go to social dancing even if you're tired because people want to see your face. People want to see you smiling at them. So the life of people like us, we try and juggle everything. It is difficult. I've had few burnouts in my dance journey where it really did scare me because for at least 2 to 3 months, I did not dance other than teaching.
Wow.
I'm serious. I'm serious because I'm a soloist. You gotta understand that for a soloist, I am one womaning this show. I don't have a partner. You know? Yeah, I
Yeah.
do not have a partner who can tell me which direction to go when we're traveling. I gotta be on alert all the time.
Hmm.
Um, you gotta take care of yourself and everything that I said. At one period of time, I was doing everything by myself, and it just got to
Mm-hmm.
the point where I was like, I'm done. I hate
Mm.
traveling. I hate dancing. I need a life, you know?
Okay.
So juggling it is not easy. You ask me how, I don't know how. I don't have the answer. When things get busy,
Okay.
you're just on the go. Whatever is more important, you get it done first. But at the end of the day, I'm somebody who's very much a believer of I do what I feel like doing. I have the privilege, I have the blessing to be my own boss. But for example, things like choreographing, right? If I have no
Mm.
inspiration to do it, I don't force myself to do it. I try it for
Hmm.
half an hour. I only had 2 8. I'm like, I'm done. It means that I'm not in the mood for it. It's not going to give me anything good. I tried the next
Hmm.
day. Within half an hour, I completed it, you know?
Okay.
So I do what I feel like doing. Maybe this can be advice for you. If you have a lot of things to do the important ones first, of course. But everything else, if you do have control over the timeline, do what you feel like doing first. You know, can be anything, right? For me, it could be like I'm not gonna reply to anybody until I feel like replying because I know that my
Hmm.
replies right now are being superficial.
Mm.
When you have so many people to reply to, you're just gonna be like, oh wow, thank you, heart shape, like what else can you say when you have 30 people waiting for your replies, right?
Yeah.
So do what you feel like doing if you got control. If you don't feel like doing anything, don't do anything. You need a break.
Hmm.
I'm a workaholic. I should give this advice to myself because I can't stop working. I'm trying. I
You
have to
can watch
force
the
myself.
interview back afterwards.
Yes, yes. So yeah,
So do you go through phases where you're not really so fussed about performing or training and you want to just social dance?
yes, there are times like this. It's a period of different kind of stuff. But I feel like for the social dancing life, I've had enough. Not okay, no, that's a terrible way to put it. I have fulfilled the amount of social dancing in my first 5 to 6 years of my salsa bachata life. I used to social dance. People who don't know this, even if you're from Singapore and you don't know this, you don't see me so much anymore. You'll be surprised to know that I used to dance at least 3 to 4 times every week at all the socials. If I'm not training, I'm social dancing. Sometimes
Hmm.
even 5 times a week. I'm not kidding. And I would stay to the end, like all the time. So yeah, I'm not doing as much social dancing right now because I need to travel. When you're traveling and you're social dancing, people in Singapore don't
Hmm.
see that, right? They come back and they're like, oh,
Of
Brenna's
course.
not social dancing anymore. I'm like, no, I'm social dancing all the time, people. Yes. So yeah. Um, so for social dancing, I feel like I have done so many hours that right now I'm more like I want to teach, I want to inspire, I want to motivate. So for this window of life, for these few years, I feel like I'm more focused on education.
Hmm.
I see myself more a coach, instructor than a dancer
Hmm.
or choreographer, you know. So yeah, different phases of life give you different motivation and inspiration. That's the one I'm in right now. I might
Hmm.
go back to being more a dancer. I might not. So I don't know. I'm just taking
So
step
if
one
you
step.
had to touch on what you mentioned earlier about wanting to educate and inspire, if you had to give people advice about how to become better social dancers, what would you tell them?
Better social dances. I feel like social dancing, the way that I improved was really having that one or two mentors or instructors. I'm very blessed to have these people like Z from Singapore. Um, and then like, friends along the way, Super Mario and whoever will give me like certain feedback about my dancing. It's very important to identify these people. It doesn't need to be friends. It can be instructors. It can be or a famous instructor you think who's really good social dancing. I hope you find the right one to give you some feedback and be specific about working on them. In my years when I first started social dancing and I wanted to improve, it can be as simple as holding my frame when I dance because my shoulder will be popping out all the time, you know?
Hmm.
And I would take it to every social dance party that I go and focus on it. That's my one focus for that night, working on my frame, you know? And then
Hmm.
on another night, it could be like cleaning up my footwork. On another night, it could be like spinning. I would tell the guys, hey, can you spin me tonight? Like just go for it, you know? I would tell my friends to do that. So you need to set specific goals and like I mentioned previously in this interview, find your bad habits, find an instructor who can give you the good feedback and take it to your social
Hmm.
dancing and apply it one at a time. Don't try and do everything. It's
Yeah, of
not
course.
possible. I'm not able to, and I feel that I can multitask pretty good. So don't focus on five things, focus on one, you know, your connection. Just that.
Uh-huh.
And do it for not one night, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks until you feel like, you feel better, or you ask somebody if your spinning has gotten better, or check back with your instructor again, and then work from there.
Hmm. So you mentioned Z earlier. Have you had like a handful or a couple of people in particular that really helped facilitate your growth as a dancer as you were learning?
Well, I feel like Z was really that buddy that I have to check my dancing with in terms
Hmm.
of social dancing. He definitely taught me a lot. About social dancing. Before I met him, I don't feel like I was so good a social dancer or having that connection that I wanted to have. So Z definitely helped me a lot in terms of that. In terms of an artist's life, building a career, I feel like there are a couple of people. One of them is Super Mario. Like
Hmm.
he is somebody that I can call and be like, Mario, I just had this gig today and these are the terms. I don't really feel comfortable. What do you think? You know?
Hmm.
And like he would give me advices on how I should continue running the business while being an artist, how I should be smart about things like that. He's one of them. And
Mm.
then I think I'm very selective as a person in terms of the friends that I have around me. um, I need somebody on the same wavelength, like if I
Yeah.
can't really click with you or have the kind of conversations that will help me to evolve, that will help you to evolve, I don't really cling on to those kind of friendships. So because of my preference, I
Hmm.
do filter quickly and meet a lot of people who can teach me stuff. Like we benefit both ways, right? Like my boyfriend, my close friends, people that can teach me their life experiences as well, and I learn from these people. So I feel like in general it's because I'm just very resourceful. But there are also people like Mario and Z and another guy in
Hmm.
Singapore who's there to like advise me because I'm still pretty young, like I have to learn things the hard way. And I need these people to tell me what to do. Otherwise, I'm making too many mistakes. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have people like I have a mentor in Australia, Chubba, who's been really helpful to me while I was coming up, and Super Mario was helping me a lot while I was living in Europe and the UK. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. It's almost essential to have these people in your corner supporting you as you work your way up or as you continue on your path, like whatever it might be doing.
yeah, totally.
You're dancing like mainly salsa and bachata, but do you dance other styles as well?
No, I don't have time to focus because I feel like there's just too many aspects of my career that I need my brain in.
Hmm.
Choreographing, teaching, managing my teams, making sure I keep them motivated is a lot of work. So to go into another dance style, I would think that it's not very helpful to
Hmm.
manage my time
Hmm.
well.
But you
So
dance
no.
cha-cha, right?
I mean, yeah, but not that much, Like,
Okay.
I'm not gonna say I'm good at something when I'm not good at it. Yeah, I could do it. If I teach it for 2 months, I could understand it fully,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a preference, I already have salsa and bachata. So,
There's a
yeah.
really good question there from Sharada, and I'm yeah happy for you guys to chime in if you have a question for Brenda because it's not every day you get access to an artist of her caliber like this. So take advantage of it. Ask her questions because she's like she just spent 45 minutes telling you all how passionate she is about teaching. There's a question here from Sharada. She's asking, how do you work towards developing your own style?
This is a very interesting question. I've not replied a question like this. Okay. I feel that people get trapped in styles. And they call it a style. No, it's not a style. If you're trapped in your style, it's not a choice. It's probably made up of habits that you're used to or that are not you're not able to break. So first I want to address what is a style. A style is something you choose to have, not something that you're stuck in. If
Okay.
today, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, okay? I'm giving an example. If today you look like any certain artist and you cannot look like another artist, you know, it means
Mm-hmm.
that you're stuck in that style. You need to be able to switch to say that you truly picked your style. If you learn with
Mm,
an instructor for 3 years and you look like that person, but when you try to learn something from me, you still look like that person and you're not able to break the habits that this person has given you, it's not a style. That I want to
mm.
address first. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So developing my own style, I feel that I am led by what I love. So I love body movement. I feel that maybe because I'm good at it, I might be a little bit biased because I've been training and prioritizing my body movement training. So when you're good at it, you kind of you like it better, right?
Hmm.
But it could be a tip. Pick something that you're good at and try to prioritize that in your dancing. Some instructors are known for flavor. Some instructors are known for crazy musicality. Some instructors are known for clean footwork, like Eddie Torres Jr. is the sickest guy in the world in terms of footwork, in my opinion,
Hmm.
right? So pick something that you like and maybe work towards it. Find the people who has what you like. If you like body movement and maybe you see me, you're like, oh wow, Brenda has good body movement. I want to learn from her. If you like footwork, find the artists that have sick footwork and work towards that and then develop your style, you know? And then maybe further on in your life, you're like, I've gotten the footwork done. Now I want more arm stuff,
Hmm.
So you slowly try and put in more stuff. I feel that a
Hmm.
style is very much a preference of what you like to do, you know? For me, this is
Hmm.
how I see it. while I'm talking, I'm slowly starting to realize it, you know? So yeah, that is my advice.
So would you recommend for people that want to further develop their styles to start drawing on other styles of dance? Like, do you feel like your bachata influences your salsa somehow, or do you feel like your traditional Indian or Chinese dance somehow has influenced your body and how it moves? Like, obviously, you have a Latin movement, but do you feel like other dance styles can help contribute to your own personal style?
I definitely think that other dances can influence, but it shouldn't lead.
Hmm.
I feel that for me, if I want to work on my salsa and I'm lacking that motivation of style or inspiration of finding a style, there's
Hmm.
so many people dancing out there that is good. Why don't you look towards them first and see what you can learn from them, before you look to another dance style?
Mm.
Trust me, somebody has done it before you. So look towards the people that are ahead of you first and see what they're doing.
Hmm.
Unless you really think that you have a great idea, I'm not saying that you cannot have it. But I mean, instructors are there for a reason, influencers are there for a reason. The leaders
Yeah.
of our scene who are amazing are there for a reason. They probably have deeper knowledge about salsa in a way that you do not know, or a wider perspective that you do not know. So I would say to look towards there first before you think about other styles, because like I said, it can take away your focus, it can take away your
Mm.
time, which I don't feel like it's worth it.
Absolutely. Brenda, we just hit the 59-minute mark, so Instagram have a 1 hour cutoff. But if you're happy to keep talking for a little bit longer, like we can just restart the live in like 45 seconds when it cuts out. Is that okay?
Oh, okay, okay,
Awesome, yeah.
okay.
Because I've still got a few questions here, and I think a few people might have another question for you, like to ask in the comment section. So we have like 30 seconds left. So if you want to keep listening, guys, the video will cut out in like 25 seconds or something like that. But then we'll just start the live again, and then we'll continue where we left off. Okay.
Join us.
So if you
Join
have
us. This is the only time you can ask me questions. I will not entertain you any other time. Yeah, you ask me. I'm joking.
so yeah, if you have a
Okay, let's move.
question,
Let's
please
move.
put it in the comment section.
Yeah, let's move.
I really liked what you said about how if you can't be versatile, and so if you're doing a class with someone and you can't copy what they're doing, then you're stuck in your own style. You're not being as versatile as you could be. So a way of expanding your repertoire or your versatility would be to take classes with different people and try and copy what they're doing to add to your own repertoire. And then out of that, you can pick and choose what you want to add into your own flavor, your own movement.
Yes, totally.
Hmm. Do you have like a style that you would really like to learn that you obviously like are prioritizing like your main focuses, but are there any dances that you go, oh, I would really love to learn that if you had like the opportunity to?
Franklin Diaz.
Oh, from Franklin. So you would like to do like his style?
I think it's very unique. It would challenge me. There are
Yeah.
people that you go on a scene and you're like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen that before. But when you look at
Hmm.
Franklin, you're like, I've never seen that before. Like,
Yeah, it's very
what?
different.
Nobody does it like him. So I would say he has this very unique style and control that I've never seen in somebody else. And I respect him a
Mm.
lot for that.
Hmm.
So I would say that would be very interesting to learn. I may not love the style, but
Hmm.
it's something I feel like I'm unable to imitate. It's like a challenge for me, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas something else that's like, I would say that some other styles are very, okay, please, nobody get offended by this. Some styles are very easy to imitate, and it's
Hmm.
there, you know? Probably easier for me because, like I'm more experienced a dancer and I'm an instructor, so I can analyze how they're moving, what's causing them to move like this and that. But yeah, when I
Hmm.
when I watched Franklin live, like my jaw went down, dropped. I was like, this is another sick level I've never seen before. So yeah,
Hmm. And do you like for plans in the future? Do you feel like you want to stay in Singapore and spend more time there and focus on your school and your teams and like stick to your country?
I mean, for the current recent future, yes. I feel like for me, I never fix what I would do in the next 2 to 3 or 5 years. It's very much the next 1 year, you know?
Yeah,
Opportunities are gonna knock on your door. You like look at this COVID situation.
yeah,
It's
it's true.
unprecedented, you know. You don't know what's gonna happen. Somebody could knock on my door and said, "Hey, I want you in this country and here are my terms." It might be an amazing job, and I'll be like, "Okay, why not? Bye bye." You know? But right now, I love what I do. It's very hard to bring me somewhere else. I
Hmm.
want to be with my family because my family do lean on me quite a bit. I want to be here for them. My grandparents are getting older. My parents are getting
Hmm.
older. I want to be here for them, you know? And I love a stable environment. I feel like I thrive in a stable environment when I do travel. If I do move to another country, I do foresee myself traveling a lot. And like I said, it's not a lifestyle that I want to have.
Hmm.
I don't feel like when I'm traveling so much, I'm working on myself. It's more like I'm working for fame and money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds very bad, but indirect consequences is the truth.
Mm.
That's why it's not a lifestyle that I prefer to have. I want to be able to have my own time and a little bit more consistent rhythm so that I
Hmm.
know that these are the things that I'm supposed to do, but these are the things that I want to do. You know, for
Hmm.
example, learning a new language or um, learning something new, finding a new business to start, you know,
Hmm.
something like this. So, yeah,
Maybe not in the future.
I don't know.
And
Let's
And like Singapore's really lucky to have you, like in my opinion, because you're an artist that's traveling a lot. Like you spend a lot of time in Europe, like at big congresses over there, and
not,
you're.
not a lot. This is not as much as you guys think, but it's enough for me.
I think I went to like two or three congresses, and you're in the same congress in Europe when I was there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like I'm in the Asian congresses more than the European congresses, for sure.
Yeah, but
It's
you're living in Asia. So of
yeah,
course, but I in respect to that, you're going to these other countries and you're collaborating with other artists and you're upskilling and bettering yourself as a teacher and as a dancer, and then you bring that back to Singapore. Like you bring it to your students in Singapore, so they don't need to leave Singapore to go and get it. So like people in
yeah.
Singapore are really lucky to have you in this way.
You, thank you.
It's okay. It's just an observation, but like so when you when you're teaching in Singapore, like obviously you're seeing what's happening around the world and you're talking to the other artists that are the leaders in the industry wherever they are in the world. So what are you trying to like portray or what are you trying to give the people of Singapore that they might not be able to get?
Sharing the styles that I've learned, I would say. Um,
Hmm.
for me, I'm very inspired by, I would say I'm inspired more like by different styles and signature moves that I've learned more
Hmm.
than anything because I could pick one or two moves because of this style from this particular instructor and open a door to more movements. I feel like this is one of the abilities that I have. So when I do go out and take classes and stuff like that, I could be learning just few minutes from this instructor, but from that few minutes, it's a correct, if it is the correct content, I would be able to evolve that into my own dancing.
Hmm.
So I will not be able to teach exactly what other instructors are teaching because they have spent years on their own styles. So the biggest value that I can give is to share what I've learned in the sense that this is how it looks like, this is how we can use it in our own way, or this is how
Hmm.
I would use this person's style in my choreography.
Hmm.
So I would
What's
say
the
that it's,
scene? No, sorry, you go, you go.
no, you go, you go.
I was going to ask, how do you find the dancing scene in Singapore compared to the rest of the world?
More stagnant.
More stagnant?
Yeah, I do feel that it's a little bit more stagnant. It's not thriving as it used to be. I don't know if Singaporeans are gonna hate me for this. I don't think so because I'm speaking the truth. You know, it's not as together as it used to be. Not that we're fighting with each other. We're not, but we're not the most together scene. But again, where else in the world, right? Everywhere else is pretty much the same, other than Korea. Korea, I would say
Right.
that they're very together. Um,
Hmm.
we used to have this social held by a very respectable studio, and everybody would go there, and then a couple of clubs as well. But now they are gone. So I feel like people are just promoting their own piece of the pie. Come to my
Yeah.
social. I have a beginner social. When somebody else is doing something else, they're doing their own thing, you know. Yeah, I get it. It's all business. You gotta provide for your own followers. I do get it. But at the same time, there can be more effort towards bringing the scene together. In
Hmm.
the past 1 to 2 years, I've been trying to do a little bit more of that since I've started traveling a little lesser. I feel that
Hmm.
it is one of the responsibilities I do want to see in myself. You know, I would like to be remembered as not Brenda who travels the world only for Singapore. I would like to be remembered as Brenda who travels the world, but do come back and remember her own scene,
Hmm.
who places Singapore of importance as well. So I try to play my part, but it's not easy to bring people
Mm.
together like you want to. You know, people have their own interests. So if it were to be more together, we would be better, but it's not too
Hmm.
bad.
Hmm. And how do
Yeah.
you find the scene like in Asia, like overall? Like, do you find that there are a lot of people from Singapore traveling like to China or to Vietnam or other Asian countries to go to congresses as well?
Yeah, we do. Um, Not a lot. I would say it's more like the performing teams that have
Yep.
the habit to travel more because they do see all the aspects of congresses that they value more. You know,
Yep.
if you're a performer, you tend to take more classes, you tend to want to learn more than just a social dancer. Do you understand what I
Service
mean?
chatty. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you want to perform, you want to take classes, and then I hope they also love social dancing. So when you're a performer, you want to do more. But we do have
Hmm.
a bunch who only social dances. There's nothing wrong with that. Or prefer to stay in Singapore. The rate is
Yep.
not as high in Europe for sure. People in
Mm.
Europe they are free to travel to different countries because they're united. You know, you don't need a passport. But in Singapore, you have to
Yep.
fly anywhere. So when you have to
Yep.
fly anywhere, the bills add up, right? The money add up, and it's not as convenient. So yeah.
Yep, for sure. So if people were to come to Singapore, how many nights per week can you social dance?
Well, there are some nights with good socials, and there are some nights with not so good socials.
Okay, so
I
for
would
example,
say,
if I come to Singapore one weekend or for a long weekend or for a week, where would you take me social dancing?
where would I take you? It really depends. Every week there's a different event going on. You know, some week it's here, some week it's there. So it really depends. There are a few top places who have consistent amount of dances, and I would bring you to those places. But I would say like 5 days, 4 to 5 days should cover you most of the good places already.
That's pretty good, 5 days a week.
No, I mean like within 5 days, not 5 days.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I thought you meant
How
five
about
days
you?
out of seven you can go social dancing. That's pretty good.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could bring you almost every night somewhere, but I don't want to bring you to a shitty place, you know? Like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
there are some clubs and bars where they say that they're having socials, but it's more for beginners and for people who walk past the bars, you know. They want to
Right.
bring in people who drink alcohol and want to dance with somebody
Yep.
for I don't know what reasons.
Okay.
So yeah.
We have two good socials. We have two good socials in Queensland, like in my state. So when you come and teach these workshops at our studio, then I can take you to these places when you come to Australia.
Totally. Yes. Finally,
Yeah, we have
when we
to
can
we have
sync
to
up.
make it happen as soon as this COVID situation settles down and people can travel again.
Yeah.
Are
So
you still getting people booking you for congresses like in the future whenever like travel can
lesser.
resume?
Lesser. Yes, I have gotten a few, but there's so many events canceled at the moment.
Yeah.
So people are a little bit afraid because until the flights start to lift and when countries are not imposing like the 2 weeks quarantine, you don't know
Hmm.
when that would be, you know,
Yeah.
and people are also talking about the second wave, I think. So everything is so uncertain. I think people are afraid.
Mm.
If I'm an organizer, I would be afraid as well. I'll be like, let's see how it goes, you know?
Yeah. Because I think some events are waiting, like they're waiting to see, like, oh, can we do it? Can we not do it? But Juju cancelled recently in Korea. Like, so the closer it's getting to these dates, like people are just cancelling, like to I think to just have done with it, and then like, okay, well, next year we'll concentrate on next year now. We just write this year off, and then we'll get back to it later.
Yeah, it's the wise thing to do. It's the socially
Mm,
responsible thing to do as well. So,
mm,
yeah.
yeah, and because there's quite a few events in Asia, right? Like I know Thailand and Singapore, Vietnam have a couple of events. China has a lot of events. Like, are there lots of events happening in Asia that are just being cancelled? Like, oh, Korea has quite a few as well.
Okay, of those within my knowledge, they're all canceled, which
Yeah.
is a lot, a lot. But you know, it's the same everywhere else. So you don't know
Mm,
when it can start again.
hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. It's a really uncertain time. Do you
mm,
think there'll be some big changes to dancing and the dancing scene because of COVID?
yes, in terms of taking classes, but in terms of traveling, people want to do it, so they will come back. You
Hmm.
know, in social dancing, these are things that you cannot change. In terms of taking classes, though, I would think that people are more open to staying home, which is not a good thing for instructors like us, but it could be a good thing as well if you know how to play your cards, you know, and you
Hmm.
know how to do it the right way. People are, I mean, taking classes is going to change. I've had feedback from students who wants to continue training under me, even after
Hmm.
COVID, you know,
Yeah.
so maybe. But in general, no, people want to social dance, people want to perform. I'm struggling to motivate my own students because I lead performance teams, you know,
Mm,
and a lot of them love performing. Now that there are no events happening, there's no performances happening, the next
mm,
best thing that you can do is be like video yourself and post it on Instagram. That's all the hype you can get, right?
yeah.
I'm struggling to motivate them. So hopefully things will change for the better in terms of that.
Mm,
But I can't say anything for certain right now. Not like anybody can.
mm. I think the biggest change I think we'll see is people will become more hygienic. There'll be like hand sanitizers in the classrooms and at the socials. I think this will be a
Yeah.
big change that's introduced maybe worldwide. I think.
Yeah. Yes. But I do think there's a good wake up call for the world to start, you know, looking at pandemics as a serious threat to
Hmm.
civilizations, right? We're not going to be prepared for a more deadly one. I mean,
Mm,
that's what I think. For
hmm.
COVID, we're still like at a very low percentage for death. But if we do get one that's equally contagious and like high risk of death, we are
Hmm.
screwed.
Well, we're an island, so we maybe be okay, but for other people, it might be a lot worse. If you're just tuning in, guys, thank you very much for joining us. I'm here with Brenda Liu from Singapore, and we're talking all things dance and a little bit of COVID stuff. If you guys have a question for her, you're more than welcome to put them in the comment section, and we'll get through them as the rest of the interview goes on. So feel more than welcome to chime in if you have a question for her. You probably don't get the opportunity to speak to someone or get her like in this sort of an environment very often. So please take advantage of it. If there's anything you would like to ask her, by all means, knock yourself out.
Yeah. Hey, Shani. One of my
When
students just joined.
you're when you're teaching your classes, how much influence or how much emphasis do you place on the importance of learning about the history of salsa to your students?
Um, to be honest, not as much as I don't know if I would like it to be. I wanted to say not as much as I like it to be. I feel that people come into class wanting to learn how to dance, not so much wanting to learn the history of salsa, if you understand what I mean. The history of
I do.
salsa would only really affect or be of interest to people like us, people who have been dancing salsa or bachata for a while. You understand what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but for majority of my classes, you cannot be sure of people's interest in that. So
Hmm.
if students are paying to get better in classes and you spend 15 minutes, which is one quarter of the hour, teaching them about history, which they're gonna be like, oh, good to know, bye. You know, it's not gonna be so good or so smart, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So, and I don't have the best information with me, you know, because I live in Asia where people don't speak Spanish, and we're not, everybody else don't speak Spanish in Asia, and that's why we're not as connected to the roots and as connected to the history as people in Europe or people in America, which
Hmm.
I feel like is one of the main reasons. And it's not an excuse for us not to know, I would say, or for people not to know in general, but the barrier is there, right?
Hmm.
Where the leading artists of Asia, they don't I don't speak Spanish, right? And we will have to travel to other countries to really learn, you know. Information on internet is all very mixed and very, yes, there are truths, but they are very diluted as well. So you really have to go and learn
Yeah.
from the people who knows very well, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So yeah, there is an obstacle. I don't know what
What about the
barrier.
importance of music and understanding music and how to interpret it?
Well, you have to understand that for me, because I don't see myself as a musician. I'm not a
Hmm.
musician, right? If you talk to me about instruments, I don't really know them. I know what kind of instruments in general we have, but I see myself when I teach musicality, I teach it more from a dancer perspective, not from a musician perspective,
Hmm.
right? I'm not going to tell my students, hey, this is the instrument, that is the instrument. It doesn't really help them to be musical in their dancing, right?
Hmm.
Placing a name for an instrument is not, maybe if they're not good with names, everything will be forgotten, but helping them to understand how to interpret it, to understand how to predict music and what kind
Hmm.
of movement you can do to what kind of music, and how is it best to start your musicality journey is going to be more
Hmm.
helpful than telling them about the instruments.
For sure.
So yeah, this is what I think in general.
But you're a very musical dancer, and a lot of your routines, like you have this incredible routine with your ladies, with your group of girls, and the movements are so like precise and so sharp, and each hand has like a different
Which one?
motion for each part of. I can't remember. Like I watch a lot of your team routines, but this one particular one, like every head and look and arm is like precise, and it's all to music. So like I think the way you interpret music is very is very good. And yeah, I it's I think with teaching it's like trying to find the line between where do you where do you draw the line between what students need to know and what might be too much? But you're trying to make it applicable so that they can continue on a trajectory where they can like where they're still learning but keeping it sort of relevant to what they're needing to know.
Yeah.
I showed your and your team routine to my friends and said the exact same thing. Yeah, see, other people feel the same way.
Thank you. Well, everything for me is choreographed down to the most important detail. Like even the
Mm-hmm.
looks, if they're not supposed to be looking side and they're looking side, I'm like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you should be looking front. Don't look
I
when I don't tell you
remember
to look.
I remember this when because I did your boot camp with Super Mario a few years ago in Berlin, and Super Mario Super Mario has been teaching for a very long time. He's been teaching for 20 years or something like that all around the world. And he goes into his like teaching mode. He puts his teaching hat on and he starts teaching. And then it was it was so nice and quite funny for Brenda, who's like half Super Mario's height and like a quarter of his size, to say, "Hang on a minute, this is my domain. This is what I do. Like I'm the performer, you're the social dancer. Like let me take charge here for a second," because he wanted to like roll with it, and then everyone was looking at Mario, and then they stopped and they start looking at you.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, huh? I think it was one of the tech rehearsals, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it was. It was something. I don't know, maybe something small like. It was a like a very typical question for students to ask a coach for a performance. Oh, what are we doing with where are we looking when we do this move, or what are we doing with our
Performance
hands while we're
question,
doing
right?
this?
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a performance question.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And then
And I
Super
was like,
Mario's like, oh, don't worry about that. Like, there's something blasé.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
Brent, like you went, no, 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 no. This is what you need to do.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought it was very funny. And then Super Mario went,
I love teaching with him. He's fun. He's very
that's
nice.
really nice. It's but he puts pressure on you, hey? Like it's great because you grow, and I know when he's taking the piss out of you or he's picking you to do something, he's doing it because he knows like you know you can handle it. But like he made me demonstrate with you. I came into the class halfway because I arrived in Poland like off my flight, and I walked into the first workshop, and I walk in halfway through the class, so I haven't done any preparation, and I watch for a little bit, and then he goes, "Okay, Jai, like go do it with Brenda while I talk." Like, come
I
on,
remember
man.
that.
I think it was last year in November. I think that's when Warsaw was. But that was really, yeah. That's one of my favorite congresses. Like one of the best that I've been to, in my opinion. I love that congress.
Nice. It's nice. I love it
Hmm.
too.
Did you take a team one
Not
year?
not for Poland. Not for Poland.
Am I thinking of Berlin?
Yes, you're thinking of Berlin.
You took a team to Berlin. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to, I think it's been over an hour and a half now, guys. So if you have a question, I don't want to take too much of Brenda's time and like obviously you guys as well. So if you have a question for Brenda, you're more than welcome to put your question in the comments, but we
I
might
think I saw a
begin to
question.
start wrapping things up. What did you say? Sorry?
I saw a question by Shanina. Brenda, were your girls already very high level or through your training? How is the team level so high? Should I answer it now?
Yeah, of course.
Um, they usually start with me at lower level. I train
Mhm.
my girls most 90, at least 95% of them from like beginner intermediate level. If the level is high, it's because they're very committed. They've been training with me for a while. Mostly for at least 2 to 3 years. Then they get to
Hmm.
one of the high level of the team. How is my team level so high? Because I punch and kick them when they make mistakes. No, I'm kidding. Um, I think I have a very different way of teaching, I would say. And it really helps me. I have very, very strong eye power in catching their habits and their details. Like I
Hmm.
can smell their mistakes. They joke about this. Like they're like, don't worry, no matter where Brenda is standing, she will smell your mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're right. Like I could be looking this direction and I'll be like, hey, you, like you over there, you made a mistake. I saw you. Yeah. I think it's all about the eye power. You gotta, as
When
a,
you're training your team, how many hours per week would you train, like for one choreography?
it really depends on how close the performance is. If the performance is not so close, we train about 2 to 4 hours on a choreography. It's
Per
not a
week.
lot, huh? Yeah, it's not a lot. You have to understand that the culture in Asia is different from Europe and from America. Oh, wait, shit. In Asia, people have their full-time jobs, and there
Yep.
are very few dancers who see this as like full-time thing. It's very much a hobby, and
Yep.
they have very, very little leave at work.
Hmm.
You know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So here we don't get the luxury of training whenever we want. I have to follow their schedule. Let's begin
Hmm.
there. You know, if I don't follow my schedule, I don't have a team because they're working 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 actually, and they come in after. So I have
Right.
to compromise to their schedule, which I'm completely willing to do so that I
Hmm.
can continue with them. And yeah,
But you'll train up to 4 hours per week, one team. But you have more than one team, right?
yes, yes. And some of them are also in my other classes or in my other teams or they join my other projects. So um, very different levels of commitment. There are some that's just committed to that 4 hours. There are some
Yep.
that I see almost every day. You know, there are some that I'm training to be instructors and I see them like more than I see my parents. So it depends. It depends on the period, on what their interest is,
Hmm.
whether they do both salsa and bachata. It's all different.
Mm. But this is why
Yeah.
your teams consistently deliver a high level and a high standard because you guys, I think a lot of people would, if they're not at a very high level, like of performing or competing, they're not training more than twice a week, 2 hours, like max per week. So to learn that some of your teams are training 4 hours a week, that's pretty high.
Yeah, but like when it's closer to performance, like 2 to 3 weeks before, we will do like 6 to 8 hours.
I hope some of my students are watching this because they don't have anywhere near as like high a standard. Like I train my team once or twice a week max. And then like
But
and they're like, oh man, I don't know if I can make an extra rehearsal. Like it's I think it takes a special kind of student to want to train like extra hours like that.
yeah, I mean, you set the culture, right? There
Hmm.
are, I feel that, okay, there are different cultures in different countries. There are some very lazy countries, huh? Don't get me wrong. And it's not the fault of the instructors or whatever, you know? I've been to some countries where they're just so lazy. They're like, oh, it's okay. I'll sit back. You know, you guys do your thing. I'll come here and try learning, but if I don't, it's fine, you know. And there are some countries in China, you know, they're like, there. They do it like they do it like it's their full-time job. They love it
Mm.
and they want to make it like really good. But at the end of the day, like I feel that it comes down to learning how to run a team. You know, like I had to learn this the hard way. Being an instructor, being a good dancer, making good choreographies doesn't give you a team. It gives you some kind of power to bring people to your classes, tell people to join your team. But at the end of the day, for them to stay And I struggle with this as well. Don't get me wrong. I've struggled so
Mm,
much with managing the team. It's not easy. You gotta find the right balance between being a friend and being the instructor, you know,
mm.
and especially with girls, not easy. You get people crying, you get people who have their period coming soon that's complaining like I'm their boyfriend,
Hmm.
all kinds of stuff, right? And yeah, it's been difficult for me to find the right hat to wear
Hmm.
on managing them.
Mm.
Leadership, not
But I
easy.
think
I'm not
because
bossy.
you're such a dedicated teacher and a dedicated dancer, so I know that you train really hard, and I know you spend a lot of time on details and being very precise. So exactly like what you said before, you're setting the culture, you're setting the tone of what you
Exactly.
expect of
Exactly.
your dancers. So if that's what the standard is, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a couple of good questions there. How do you balance your team to ensure everyone is committed to training? But I think we kind of covered that a little bit. If
Actually,
you
no,
want to
I would
expand on
say
that.
a different one. I feel that, okay, if you manage a team, you have to understand that the the dancers in your teams are there for different reasons. It took me a while to understand this.
Hmm.
Not everybody is motivated the way I am motivated. I would run it the way I'm motivated, you know? But the thing is, not everybody is. Some people, they just want to dance with you.
Hmm.
They don't care about anything else. Some people wants to get to the front of the line. They want to stand in front. If they don't, they get angry, they get upset. Some people,
Yeah.
they just want to learn. They don't need to perform. But for these people, I try to tell them, hey, then the performance team is not for you, you know?
Mm.
So I would say the first thing you need to do is find out what motivates the different dancers in your team. And then you gotta work towards there. Yeah, that was a very big realization for me. Like, oh,
Mm.
okay, now I know that I should try and be more aware of this. Because
Hmm.
previously it was more like you should be motivated by what I'm motivated, but that's
Yeah.
not what a leader should be doing, you know, in my
Hmm.
opinion, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a good question there. Do people have to audition for some of your teams?
For the main team, yes. If you want to
Hmm.
join any of my team, the default is my junior team, like the intermediate
Yep.
team. Um, because I believe that before you join my main team, you gotta understand the speed of the way the main team learns and how much I emphasize on techniques. In my
Hmm.
main team, I teach a very different way than my intermediate team. I would expect the people in my main team to understand when I said the name of the technique without explaining it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, if I were to
Hmm.
say, like, use your chin. If you're in my intermediate team, if you're new, you'd be like, what? Use your chin? So, like, what I would be trying to say is don't look with your eyes, but look with your chin. You know, something like
Yep.
this for a head detail. And if I were to bring you into my main team directly, is that you is because you're really good. Like
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense to put you in the intermediate team. But yeah, I do audition only for my main team.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's a question there, and I really like this question. It's how do you develop a student's level gradually? So instead
Yes.
of, I feel like a lot of schools might get stuck in the level one, level two, level three, or beginners, improvers, intermediate, or whatever structure that it is. So how do you go about teaching your students so that they develop their levels at a trajectory that works for them and for you?
I I think it's about the fine line of being able to challenge them, yet understand the majority of your levels. So
Hmm.
if I were to do like a project for a new project for a performance team, and these students are new, but I kind of know them because I've seen them in the scene, I would
Yep.
check the majority of their level and then try to find the fine line between what I think their level is at and how much I want to challenge them.
Hmm.
You understand what I mean? So that's an example. So if I were to do, okay, if I were to teach a plain technique class, then it's an open level class. It's different. But if I were to
Yeah.
teach like choreographies and content-based classes, then it would be very much like what I just said. Unless it's a
Hmm.
fixed structure. It's a fixed structure, like beginner's class, you should be learning this and that, then okay, you can't really change it. But moving on into intermediate and other levels, I like to go with what I see. I feel like this
Hmm.
is the way students learn the best. If I were to get student A, B, C, D, E, F, G coming to my class for the next 5 weeks, I want to push them to their potential, you
Hmm.
know? So I try to move with this bunch of students. That's the culture that I try to encourage. But if I don't get the same students, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I get different students, then it would be more of a challenge. Then I would say
Yeah.
you have to try and structure it based on more structured syllabus. It's different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And how long have you been teaching in Singapore for, like your own school?
I've been teaching for, I think, since like I was 17, 18.
Hmm.
But for my own school, okay, 17, 18 is about 8 to 9 years. For my own school, I would say about 5 or 6 years by now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you've been
So yeah,
developing and changing your concepts and how you go about doing things since you started teaching. Like it's a continual journey for teachers, I think, over this
yes,
period.
yes. Even I myself get open to more ideas, like a student will ask me a question, I'll go like, oh shit, I've never thought about that. You know what? I'm gonna add this into my book now. It's a constant learning progress, even for instructors like us. There's no one else to teach me, to be honest with you. I don't feel like there's anybody who can really teach me how to teach. There's
Mm.
nobody out there who can do that. In fact, I was thinking of doing a course like this for
Yep.
instructors, and I want to share what I know about teaching,
Mm.
So we gotta keep exploring. As instructors, you gotta keep experimenting different ways of teaching. You gotta be open to
Hmm.
feedback and students' question, you got to take them seriously. I take the questions from my students very seriously. If I do not give them a satisfactory answer, I hate myself for that. It means that I
Mm.
cannot help them to improve. They're asking me, how do I make this look better? And I have struggled with it. Like I would try to explain it this way, and I'm like, shit, they're not getting it. And I'll be like, hold
Mm.
on, and try to explain it this way. And sometimes I would look back and go like, what was I teaching? I was teaching crap,
Hmm.
you know, but slowly you mature, like the more your students ask and the more you teach, you do find out more about the
Hmm.
moves and how to teach them. So yeah, that's the good thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they can even help you understand something you were doing, even if you weren't consciously doing it, like you didn't realize you were doing something, but then they can make
Yeah,
you aware of it. Yeah, I really love that
exactly.
about teaching.
Yeah.
Mm. We're getting close to the 2 hour mark, so we'll probably
Oh my
start
God.
to begin. I know, time goes really quickly, hey?
Yeah, totally. Goodness.
Um, so yeah, if you guys want to squeeze in like one or two more questions very quickly, I'm happy to go through
I
those with
think
Brenda, but then
there's
we
a
will start
question
to
there
wrap
that I
things
didn't
up.
answer.
I think
There's a
it's
question.
Shanina.
Is it? Um,
Yes, I will. The live video will be saved onto Instagram TV. So if you missed the first half, then you can go back and watch it if you'd like to. It will be saved,
have
and
you
I'll tag
taken
Brenda in it.
anyone out for not being committed? No, I have not. Um, but I
I
would tell
sign a
them that
contract. I have to stay.
no, 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 no. I don't believe in that
I'm
shit. No,
only kidding.
I don't like because the thing is they're not full-time dancers. If I'm paying them, then it's different.
Mm.
But they're paying me. How can I make somebody who's paying me sign a contract? If you're doing that, Don't do that. I hate people who do that.
No, I didn't do that.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm talking about viewers in general.
People in general, it's far too much work to have a contract.
Yeah. I have kicked
So
people
yeah.
out for attitude reasons, but not for commitment reasons. I don't think it's fair. But if they're not able to commit, I tell them straight up, I'm sorry, you're not able to. Why don't you come back when you can? Or I
Mm,
try to find like a different way of working and say, okay, if you cannot make it for this training, I want you to join that team's training and come for our training on this day, you know? So
hmm
I try to find like a compromise if I can.
hmm
Otherwise, then it's not possible.
When is your next class? So if anyone wanted to learn from you online, like I know in Australia classes are going back now, but around the world that might not be happening yet. But if anyone was curious to learn from Brenda or join one of her classes online or something like that, follow her on Instagram, like get in touch with her on social media and check in. But if anyone wanted to do a class with you, how would you go about it? How do they do it, Brenda?
Okay, if you want to do classes on demand, just go to brendaleeonline.com. I have over 40 hours of different classes, technique classes, choreography classes, anything you want is up there. brendaleeonline.com. You can learn anything on demand. All my previous classes are all uploaded there. If you're talking about live classes, I am going back to some live classes next week. Most likely, but I'm not sure yet, starting with body movement on Tuesday, body movement training. I do that almost every week. I think my students are waiting for me to start my classes again. And then a couple of technique classes probably
Awesome.
next
And if
weekend.
you live in Brisbane or in Queensland or on the Gold Coast, whenever Brenda comes to Australia, she's going to come and do some workshops for James at Dance Culture. So I was very kindly asked to assist those classes. So
Yay!
yeah, you might get the two of us together sometime in Brisbane. Your online classes, Brenda, are incredible. Oh, that's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying.
So yeah, it seems like everyone's enjoying your classes. Everyone's asking about it. I actually I will share with you, and not to give you a big head, but I had so many guys message me when I shared your Instagram photo on my story to advertise the interview. They were like, "Oh my God, who is this girl?" Like I had all these guys because the photo is you in a bikini. I thought that might be a good selling point, like for the interview. But I had more guys than I've ever had message me.
Well, it would be a good selling point for guys, but not for girls. So I have learned that you gotta cater to what the people want to see. I don't think my girls are very happy seeing me in bikini all the time. So I try not to do posts like this. I mean, like, you know, social media is a very powerful tool and it can affect somebody. You know, like I'm very real about issues like this. There might be girls that are following me who doesn't feel comfortable with their bodies. And if I were to
Mm,
post like pictures of me in bikini and me, you know, showing off my back view, my backside all the time, they wouldn't like me so much, you know, and I don't want that.
hmm
I want them to respect my content and I want to show the most valuable side I want to have to share. So sometimes I do post some pictures like that, but in general, I try to post stuff that will benefit my followers. I think that is
mm.
really important.
It's very
Yeah.
considerate of you. It's not like an attention-seeking behavior or anything. I think in relation to the photo that I shared, you actually opened up a lot about mental health issues and saying that you're an advocate for people seeking help and advice if they are like in need of it. So it was quite a selfless post with the photos actually highlighting.
Yeah, usually I use my photos to share um issues like what you just talked about because
Mm,
like I want to share about like for example about an experience that I have like a reflection of my own life where I'm sharing like how I learned from this lesson like things that are less dance related I would share it with a
hmm
photo so that I have the photo as just like the picture and then I have like a story. But if I try to share about dance content these days, I'm trying to make more posters about how you can do this better or that better, or like technique videos and stuff like that. So it's pretty clear.
mm.
Yeah. Brenda, I love your use of the word intention. I now use every aspect of my life, not just while dancing. Most welcome. Thank you. I'm glad, Shani. I will see you soon, Shani, in my classes. I miss you guys too.
So I hope you get to go back to like live classes really soon, and I hope you and your family are really safe. We're getting close to 2 hours now, which is great. It was time flies when you're having fun. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
Nice.
on behalf of everyone that tuned in, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all your support. If you've been watching like the interviews over the last few months, I'm really enjoying it because I get to learn so much from friends and from other colleagues and artists in the scene. So it's a great pleasure to me, especially to host such lovely people like Brenda. So a massive thank you to Brenda for your time and for your
Thank you.
for such positive intentions for the group. So thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you for
And
having me. It's been nice.
it was my pleasure. So yeah, looking forward to catching up with you soon, hopefully in Australia or maybe in Singapore or back in Europe. I don't know when we see each other again, but stay safe and happy and healthy. And same for everyone else. Stay safe and happy and healthy. And yeah, see you all next time. Thank you so much.